In 1997, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck faced the ultimate Hollywood rejection. Studios wanted their Good Will Hunting script, but refused to let the two unknowns star in it. That single moment, that act of defiance, it's the key to everything. It's the origin of a blueprint for success we're calling the Damon Discipline. And it's a system that was forged in rejection, built on the simple, relentless will to execute an idea no matter what.
Just let that sink in for a second. The entire industry told them, your writing is genius, but you're worthless as performers. I mean, can you imagine? For two young, completely broke artists, this wasn't just a no. It was a fundamental challenge to who they were. And that crossroads, right there, that's not just some backstory. It's the genesis of a whole philosophy.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start with that rejection and see what philosophy it sparked. Then we'll go back to his roots in Boston and Harvard. We'll define the Damon Discipline itself, and then look at the actual systems he uses to put it into action. After that, we'll see how it created a whole new kind of power in Hollywood, and finally, how you can use this exact blueprint for yourself.
Okay, let's dive right back into that moment. It's so easy now to just look at the Oscar and see the happy ending, right? But his discipline wasn't born from winning. No, it was born in the trenches, from the very real, very terrifying possibility of losing everything he'd worked for. This was the crucible.
I mean, just try to imagine the pressure. You are young, you are broke, you've poured your entire soul into this script for years, and then Hollywood comes knocking with life-changing money. But there's that one little catch. We love your story, but we don't want you. The choice couldn't have been clearer. Sell out, take the cash, and watch your dream get made by someone else. Or hold out, risk everything, bet on yourself. It was an absolutely audacious move.
And this is where we see what their real asset was. It wasn't just the script, as brilliant as it was. Their true power came from two things fused together. First, their intellectual conviction, this deep, almost academic belief that they knew these characters better than anyone else on the planet. And second, this shared, relentless perseverance, a bond of pure grit that meant neither one of them was going to back down. This was a direct challenge to the entire system. They were basically declaring their vision was non-negotiable.
Now, to really get why they made that crazy bet, you've got to understand where Damon came from. His entire operating system was forged in two totally different, almost opposite worlds. And this duality, this is the secret engine behind his discipline.
And this slide just lays it out so perfectly. On one side, you've got Harvard. That's the world of theory, of intellectual intensity, the ability to break down a problem with academic rigor. But on the other side, you've got his Boston upbringing. That's the world of the practical, the street-level grit, the simple, undeniable drive to just outwork everybody. See, Harvard gave him the what, the brilliant ideas, but Boston gave him the how, the rugged perseverance to see it through no matter what.
But you know, this fusion of brains and brawn didn't just happen overnight. The training ground for this discipline was years spent writing in a shared, unheated apartment. Just picture it, surrounded by rejection letters, freezing, but pushing forward day after day. This wasn't just a tough time, it was a crucible. And it was right there, in the cold, that he learned the single most important lesson of his career.
And here's the lesson. It's that intellect and tenacity are totally inseparable. You can have the most brilliant idea in the world, a script that's pure genius, but without the grit to push it through years of doubt and rejection, well, it's just a piece of paper. He learned that the absolute best ideas demand the most rugged, unwavering execution. Period.
So with that origin story locked in, let's get formal and define this thing. We're moving from his personal story to the core teaching here. Because what he built wasn't just a personality trait. It is a systematic, repeatable mindset for hitting peak performance in pretty much any field.
So here it is, the Damon Discipline. It's the systematic belief that optimal performance is the synthesis of intellect and tenacity. Now that word, synthesis, that's the whole key. It's not about being smart and also being a hard worker. It's about smashing those two things together so they multiply each other. It's about completely rejecting the idea that you're either the smart one or the hardworking one. To be truly great, you have to be both at the same time.
This whole philosophy really stands on three core pillars. First, the Intellectual Deconstruction Mandate. Sounds fancy, but all it means is you approach every single problem like you're writing a thesis. You research obsessively until you know it inside and out. Second, the shared accountability principle. This is all about strategically picking partners like Ben Affleck, who will hold you to an impossibly high standard. It's a system to protect yourself from your own laziness. And third, the Anti-Complacency Protocol. This is a promise to yourself to always seek out challenges that force you to transform, to make sure you never, ever get comfortable.
Okay, a philosophy is great and all, but it's useless if you don't act on it. So how does Damon actually turn these ideas into reality, day after day? Well, he uses specific, repeatable systems designed to force this blend of intelligence and grit.
So the first system is all about making the mental work physical. It's his Immersion and Physical Transformation Protocol. Really, it's his way of making sure that the physical execution, the grit, the Boston side of him, is always a real, authentic expression of his intellectual understanding, the Harvard side. It's about making the internal work visible on the outside.
And you've seen this in action his whole career, right? The insane weight loss for Courage Under Fire. Learning complex skills like marksmanship for the Bourne movies until it's just pure muscle memory. Actually mastering the science for The Martian. This is not just method acting. It's a disciplined, systematic refusal to fake it. It's a commitment to making the physical performance absolutely true to the deep intellectual work he's already put in. His second big system is all about who he chooses to work with. It's the long-term creative partnership system. It's his super disciplined habit of picking collaborators who enforce an insanely high standard of quality and intellectual curiosity.
Now, this isn't just working with famous people. It is way more strategic. He systematically chooses to work again and again with directors like Scorsese and Ridley Scott. Why? Because when you're in a room with guys like that, compromise is just not an option. He basically builds an ecosystem around himself that demands excellence. He uses that external pressure to keep himself at the absolute top of his game.
So when you zoom out and you look at his entire career, you start to see that this discipline, it didn't just build a bunch of successful movies, it completely transformed what it means to be a Hollywood star, and it redefined what real power in that industry actually looks like. I mean, just think about the whole journey. He went from a struggling, unknown Harvard dropout to a global icon who writes, produces, and stars in his own stuff. And the crucial thing to understand here is that this was not an accident. It wasn't luck. This was a direct result of his system, proving that if you want sustained, world-class success, you need the rigor of a scholar and the tenacity of a fighter. And this brings us right back to where we started. The ultimate lesson of his career, his real legacy, is this. True power isn't about being the biggest name. It's about ownership. It's about having the intellectual conviction to build a creative vision and then having the unwavering grit to see it through without compromise. He proved it with Good Will Hunting, and he's been proving it ever since. So, why does any of this matter to you? Because this discipline, it's not just for making movies. It is a universal blueprint for achieving excellence. It's about turning your own goals, whatever they are, into a reality.
So if you only take one thing away from all this, let it be this. Talent is not enough. A brilliant idea, by itself, is not enough. The world rewards talent that is backed by uncompromising perseverance. The challenge for you, then, is to commit to blending your intelligence with your grit. Treat your goals with the rigor of an academic and attack them with the tenacity of an athlete.
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Look at the single most important goal you have in your life right now. Are you only applying one side of this equation? How will you approach it differently starting today? How can you apply both the academic rigor to understand it and plan it, and the athletic tenacity to execute that plan, day after day, especially when it gets tough?
At the end of the day, Matt Damon built his entire career on the simple truth that the best ideas require the hardest execution. The Damon Discipline provides a systematic blueprint for blending intelligence and grit to achieve total creative control. As you move forward, just remember this: your greatest asset is the persistence to execute your intellect.